So Becky, thank you for joining me today. So you've said that plants are super rad and super interesting. Why is that?
Well, how much time do we have? So
I have all day, but the people taking this video might be a little upset.
Maybe not. Well, I mean, I think most people know that plants have this almost magical ability to make food from air, water, and sunlight. So that's incredible and, you know, important to nearly all life on the planet. So there's that.
And chewing on dirt, which some of our colleagues like to call soil, just ruins your teeth, right? So having plants in between to get those minerals out of the soil, eating a plant is much more pleasant.
Yeah. I mean, it really is magic. You think of just air and sunlight and water. So that's pretty cool. I find plants really fascinating because they kind of live on a different timeline to animals. They're much longer lived. Their seeds can sit in the soil for decades. They continue to grow throughout their life, which is quite different from us. If you lop a limb off, they'll just grow another, which, you know, obviously doesn't work for you and I. So I think they're really fascinating. And the fact that they have to stay, you know, literally rooted in one place for the most part, means that they're really sensitive to their environment, and they've got really sophisticated ways of adapting to their environment.
And of course, these days, everyone's talking about plants not just for making food, but for doing other important things.
Absolutely. I mean, they're fundamental to our ecosystem, and they make up a huge amount of mass. The biomass on the planet is mostly plants.
And so that's really important for capturing carbon.
Indeed. Yep.
Right.
And that is they're making food, capturing carbon.
Yeah, so they capture carbon, which can pull it out of the air. So people often talk about plants pulling carbon out of the air.
Yeah.
But they make oxygen too, right?
Indeed, yeah. It's their
that's
byproduct.
That's kind of helpful for us.
It's very helpful for us. Yeah, so they make our food and our air, basically everything we need.
And so your work currently, and I'm sure like all of us it moves, but your work currently is in epigenetics. What is epigenetics, and why should we care about epigenetics in plants?
So epigenetics, there's a lot of different definitions, but the most common is chemical modifications either on the DNA or near the DNA that affect the way that DNA functions. So maybe controls whether a gene gets turned on or off. And it's important in most things on the planet. You know, for us, like cancer cells often have different epigenetics. But for plants, it's particularly interesting. As I said, this concept of being very long-lived and then needing to adapt to your environment. Which
leads me into my specific research question for you, and that is, you are the University of Arizona's lead on a $25 million National Science Foundation grant. Can you tell me about that project, why it's important, and how the world would be different after you guys have finished that project?
So that project is a large collaboration. So it's led by Cornell, and it also includes the University of Illinois and the Boyce Thompson Institute. And our goal basically is to try to increase communication with plants. It's a little bit of, sounds like a strange
You're
idea.
going to communicate with the plants and they're going to communicate to you?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to start with having
you're
the plants communicate to us.
You're the plant whisperer in this project,
The plant
right?
whisperer. Oh, I like that. You know, we know plants are adapting to their environment and they're changing their physiology, but we don't always see that change right away. And so can we measure many, many things about the plant and kind of synthesize all of that information into something that we can understand, so we have a better understanding of the status of that plant in that field at that time. So in real time, understanding what's happening with that plant. So this obviously doesn't just involve biologists, there's a lot of engineering, a lot of computational scientists. So it's kind of a fun collaborating between those different disciplines.
So how is the world going to be different once you've finished your research?
So our focus really is on agricultural fields and agricultural plants. And so we're hoping that this will help boost yields, will change farming. Farming is already changing so much and has changed for so many decades. So we're going to kind of continue that to try to be, you know, get more crop yield per acre, more crop per drop with less environmental.
Crop per drop of water.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, with less environmental influence.
You know, you make your classes fun and relatable. I hear that over and over again. So I thought you were just a geek scientist, but it turns out no, you're actually somebody that students love to be with. So how do you do that in your classes?
I think the thing that maybe I'm known for, or that I see in my teaching, even talking to you here, is kind of crazy analogies. I find students, for example, we talked about plants operate on a very different time scale and they do things differently. And that can be a challenge because it's very different from what the students know in their own life. But if you can create an analogy that relates to something the students know in their life, then it's relatable, maybe a little bit easier to understand, or even if they understood the concept, it becomes easy to remember if there's something silly. And yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, being such an incredible researcher and being such an inspiring teacher. It's our honour and pleasure to have you as part of our enterprise and part of our college.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I
Becky.
really enjoyed chatting with you.
Yeah, I did too.
Good.